Al pie del Ávila majestuoso, a 920 metros sobre el nivel del mar, en un valle de verde geografía que se abre de este a oeste, surge Caracas, la capital de Venezuela.
And now, our feature presentation.
You are watching a master at work.
Go get some!
What's going on, fellas? My name is Rafael Chacín, as known as El Capitán Rafucho, and we are back in action with a brand new episode of the Combat Club. Now, before we get started right now, because how you feeling this right now? Because I know you guys feeling because it's been like a while, but we're gonna to recap both events that both marks the Paramount Plus era, which is the debut right now. So I just wanted to tell you how you're feeling this late night Thursday right now, because I was going to tell you it is right here. And before we get started right now, I just wanted to tell you between for like the rest of the people right now. So a lot of you guys see every time that I just step onto the ground right now, but between for the latest live stream that I just got for the UFC 324, yep, I was got suspended right now. Yes, I was got suspended, and right now it's been like it's suspended since like last Saturday. So don't worry about it because I'm just trying to do like really something at all. But don't worry about this because I know that one of my social media got suspended for no reason, but I'm trying to recover right now. So don't worry.
Ay, caramba.
Don't worry about it right now. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, we got to step up to the cage, grab your gloves and enjoy the war because welcome to the Combat Club because we got the 100% extreme attitude, No fear, no excuses, no apologies. In this club, we're born to fight anytime, anywhere, anyone. If you're soft, this ain't your lane. Because if you love extreme violence with rules, strategy, discipline, and respect, welcome home right now. It ain't that right because right now we got our co-host Zion Zenith because we're gonna bring the thunder.
Yeah, we're absolutely gonna bring the thunder. What's going on, El Capitano? I see you, my friend. El Captain in the house. We got Daniel already in the chat. Happy Thursday to you too, my friend. We're gonna talk about some UFC tonight. And you know me, I'm always excited to talk about the UFC. So let's get it.
Ah, yes, right now. All right. So first and foremost, we can talk about UFC 324, which is in Las Vegas, which they marked the debut from Paramount Plus. Now, first and foremost, we got to talk about John Silva versus Arnold Allen. Now, this one, I just love that fight because have you ever seen Arnold Allen? Chin was really insane. I thought John Silva would knock out most fighters in the division with the bombs he was landing to the second, third round. Not very too much for the first round thought, but that was just like really crazy. It's also crazy, like the mutual respect at the end. I was like really worried on some of the key at the end there, but John Cena was just like a weird guy because they probably this is for a pound to pound most predictable fighter in UFC. 1 minute he'll be kickboxing, then out of nowhere turn around, salute the crowd and hits the opponent with a hook and all treats his great motion because you cannot predict the outcome with Silva because we all know that once it's into the ring, it's gonna be like a great win because Silva's more explosive and Allen was athletic because Allen was definitely way more than tired than Silva at the end there because Silva can throw all these wall shots with huge power, but Allen throws quick time punches and jabs to beat Silva to the punch. Adding damage with added quickly after Silva stand landed and Allen was not just active for the first half of the fight. But Silva hurt Allen in the second round, but he didn't really touch Allen after that. That was like a problem that it needs to fix it up. All right, so we just kind of like a technical issues coming up there, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, dude, that was a fight. It was a good start to the year for Paramount. Yes, we have to pay for no pay-per-views no more, so I'm super excited about that. But that being said, there's a lot of commercials for this first quarter, but I'm not gonna let that take away from the fights because boy, did we have a good night of fights. Like you said, starting with that first fight with Gene Silva versus Arnold Allen. I kind of thought that I wanted to see how is Gene Silva going to respond after that knockout against Diego, where he got knocked out, and he responded pretty good, pushing the pace, going the distance with a fighter like Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen did have his moments, but Gene Silva overcame it and looked like the far better fighter that night. Gets that victory, and we'll see what's next in the future. Nada de Silva and Rose, that was a good fight as well. To take the lead on that one. I was to be honest with you, this fight was kind of lackluster to me. Rose had her moments at times too, but with Silva, she just shown that she's the next the rising star in the UFC, and to get through someone like Rose is definitely a good spot for her resume, right? But that being said, we'll see what happens when the UFC puts in next. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, between for Natalie Silva versus Rose Namajunas, between for that fight, just go out there and try not to take damage. That was just like very not very quiet to watch, which is crazy because she used to be like so exciting to watch. But I think that Natalia Silva, she's doing like a little dance with those hip finds, which is really worried about it. But I don't have to tell you for any reason because I think that Rose Namajunas got raw. And they wasn't paying enough of attention to explain why, because literally through shadow boxing outside of the cage, I was just like, oh my God, this is not happening right now because how did Rose lose? Because they just have like the 2-on-1 Rose because she really did get raw. I mean, Silva didn't land too much at the first round. They also spent her on the most with the back foot. She didn't win the round number 3. And Rose has been the same since the jumping out of her head, but Natalia didn't do like very much enough to win. That was just like it wasn't like a exciting fight because Natalia and Rose are pretty good, but they're both like cautious. because I thought Rose could have won, but they're gonna underwhelm because I feel like he hasn't been like the same in favor because she fights like never to win, not get hurt. I mean, that was just like not very quiet enough, but they're constantly out of the reach. Because I understand that Rose is one of the most skilled female fighters ever, and it has some incredible fights, but it's always been like a coin flip. Whenever she comes out with the fire or slip balls around to the cage point fighting, it became like a must frustrate.
Well said. What's your thoughts on that Waldo Acostas versus Derek Lewis?
Oh, Waldo Acosta versus Derek Lewis. So this right here, I just wanted to tell it about this right now because when I just wanted to figure it out between Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis, between for the wrestling, don't even speculate about this right now because I cannot imagine that Waldo Cortez Acosta, I know he's from Dominican Republic, so he was like wildly exaggerated because not only he's a former baseball player, but also he can really knock you down. Because once I get it clear, because he really knocked out the cab drivers, actual contenders. I mean, they're just like the most like performance that I would see right now because they have the same airbending technique Kimball used like against Data 500 in their legendary, but they know that Derek Lewis will get in dropped with something like not being like a catch at all. But Lewis show up for like any reason for like those fights coming up there, but between for like the reaction coming up there, I think that Walter Cortez Acosta will be ready enough to take down, I don't know, against Sarah Gain or Tom Espinal. I think he's going to be more ready. But I think that someone had to check right now, but they had to the two breeder. Louis just came in like to get tank range. And I just realized that he has the top fight coming up there. But between for like the division of the heavyweight, does anybody know about for like the guard for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Like literally just give it off and let Walter Cortez Acosta well get around for his legs. I mean, most day they have more guard than that. I mean, that was like we don't know how to do it. But that was like the type of the hype that we used to get for, but they had to resolve sooner or later what the hell is going to happen with the heavyweight division. But I understand that Walter Cortez Acosta got the real knockout power, and we all know that Derek Lewis is a black beast. But I think that time for Derek Lewis, I think that was like really gone for it all. I think it's gonna be like an emotional to get the time to see Walter Cortez Acosta as the future of the heavyweight division.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, like that was a nice hook that he caught Derek Lewis with. Lewis probably, he didn't want to get up after that. He wasn't fully knocked out, but Derek Lewis is like, I quit, man. I don't want to be here right now. He gave us some of the most exciting moments in the UFC, but as you can see, time is passing him by. Father Time is always going to catch up to everybody. With Waldo, I like to see what the UFC books him next. What's going to be a next matchup for him? He definitely is going to climb in the rankings. And he went in the octagon and he done what he's supposed to do, and that's what I love seeing when these new up and comers, they get hit with diversity, and it's all about how they bounce back, and he definitely bounced back.
Exactly.
When you look at Sean O'Malley versus Song Yong-dong, this fight was kind of boring for me at first. I mean, like full striking a display that we thought we was gonna get. It did happen. Sean O'Malley looked really rusty in there at first, but then when he finally found his mode and he found his rhythm and he found his timing, then he started dancing, and then it looked really clean. But coming into this fight, I honestly thought he should have knocked Song out. I want to see Sean O'Malley take that next level in his career after those 2 losses to the Moab, after that life changing. I thought he was going to reach the next level. I thought, it was almost a boring fight in a way. Not because he didn't knock him out, but it's really. I'm not gonna disrespect Song and say he should have watched him, but he made it harder than it had to be. And when you come on the mic and he celebrated, exactly when he celebrated that victory, happy for him that he got that victory, but he celebrated it like he just knocked his fool out. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see him fight for. I get it. He has history for the title. He'll probably fight for the title because he has history at Yan. But I don't know, man. I don't know how. It was kind of fucking boring if you ask me. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah,
It
between
had
for
its
Sean
moments,
O'Malley
of course.
versus I know they have it a moment right now, but that was just like it's not the coolest fight that I ever see in my whole life. That was like a very lucky decision because they could have been easily gone for the other way. Because Son Yadong could have it won, but that was just like totally fucked up at a band to case the whole third round after barely winning this exchange with low kicks. I mean, he doesn't have the gas tank. Just seems like all those game plans. You should call Marav because O'Malley just did like a more damage to round number one and three to take down the round number one was basically not even score because Son did no damage at all. Those rules have changed to prevent the whole dedicate down to the end of the steal the round, but Son had 10 significant strikes in round number one, all leg kicks. Sean 16 sits to the head, sits to the body, four to the leg. They wanted to keep Son around number one over leg kiss for the takedown. That he did nothing with the so really insane. So I probably have this gonna be like a robbery, but that's gonna be like at a very close. But doing nothing with apparently because Sean was clear like at a clearance strikes at a damage round number one, takedown shoulder swinging the round. That was just like, man, I was gonna like man, I could not believe it. It was clearly because there much happening with the twin with a takedown because that was like very rich. It was so obvious what it gonna happen. Everybody bet on these because unless that are the could like the push that through the candles right now. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna talk about like the main event, which is Justin Gage versus Patty Pimblett, as known as Patty the Batty. But I just wanted to tell you that was just like the most one-sided back and forth that I ever see because between for the main event of Justin Gage versus Patty Pimblett, it was ultimate war because they know they hit so hard that it seems to focus accuracy. When he misses, he spin like it around for like a Looney Tunes character because watching down because they have a new generation on lightweight championship because Gage has no respect for Payment in the first couple of rounds and the payoff. Payment was very solid in the long range, and Gage had to go for somewhere or another. Justin Gage had absolutely nasty jab too, because the difference is between him and Pimblett, landing was very noticeable. Very noticeable because I know it's gonna be like an entire prepare, but wow, that was like the very gutsy at all. That was a great scrap, showing show levels. But these fucking fouls were like a joke. I mean, what the actual fuck is the point not taking them immediately? Because I swear to God, there is like zero benefit to being like a fighter to follow the rules. Might as well just like the start for enough with a free nod. I mean, pause. Because I know that Patty has the worst cross, having no power at all, and we see like a great performance of Prime Gage because it being like a lot of more. Honestly, there was like a setup for Patty to succeed over an Asian big name, and he still could have capitalized. That was a fair play to Gage still fucking out the plans for Patty because that was like a fun fight. Would it look like the two drunks at the bar? Because they both happy. Because I'm very happy that Justin Gage got the championship. Well, the interim Patty earned some respect for that chin. But I think the El Tuporia or Armor Jishkon could have smuggled both of those guys. That was like an easy money.
Yeah, I mean, it will be a fun fight to see against Gaethje. I don't know why he hasn't been booked since he missed weight. That's absolutely
Mhm.
absurd. Ilya will smoke both of them too. So, but we got to give his respects. We're gonna give the legends props. Justin Gaethje is damn near a legend at this point with all of his fights in the UFC. Coming against a up and comer, and I love to see vintage Gaethje in there. They certainly controlled that whole fight. Showed Paddy Pippin what it takes to be at the top.
Mhm.
Paddy Pippin definitely is going to bounce back from this loss, but after a fight with Gaethje, you're definitely going to look different. I think Paddy wasn't expecting him to be that good. But you have to expect everything. It's especially in this high level of a sport. Um, Gaethje looked good, man. I must say, Gaethje looked damn good. Looked vintage. Nice performances. If you looked at his last two, certainly probably going to be fighting for the championship at the White House versus Ilya. I don't see how the UFC books anything else, even though People like Ralph maybe say he shouldn't. I may say he shouldn't. Not like he shouldn't. He is the interim championship, so he will. But we have contenders like Orman out there that should be fighting for the title, and we'll see if Max gets through Holloway and Max. We'll see what happens there. Sorry,
Yes, it
Max and
is.
Charles Oliveira. I apologize. We'll see what happens there. Both two legends too. We'll talk about that when that comes down. Oliveira, don't rule him out. Just because I'm a Max fan, I know how vicious Oliveira can be too. So he easily can win that fight. That being said, though, I was super proud of Gaethje, man. It's almost one for the old generation, one for the legends. Everybody try to push the legends out. Hey, we're still here, motherfucker. And we've been fighting at the top for a while. You can't. No one's Ilya's different. Okay, Ilya's just different. Chimaya, he's just different. Shaka, he's just different. There's a few fighters that's just different. Will Leon Murphy be different? We'll see. Mosumov, we'll see. That being said, that's one win for the veterans. Not like it's old school versus new school, but everybody's so fast to discount a person because I know I did it. I say, why are they booking this fight? It makes no sense. Obviously, it makes sense for the matchmakers, and Justin Gaethje just shut up all the haters. So I absolutely love it.
Oh, yes. Right now, we just wanted to move in, and right now, we're going to recap the UFC 325 in Australia. Now, we're going to deal with Quillan Salke versus Jamie Mullarkey, because I'm going to tell you for this right now. It's going to be like a top 15 fight, because I respect for both fighters, because I think that Quillan was really wanted to display some of these ground and grappling game to show, because he's not a flashy guy, and he proved that he was well run the game for a potential future matchmaking. Because according to me, Salke intentionally went for the submission, and he really appreciated Mullarkey stepping in short notice and didn't want to beat on them, because I think that the performance of Salke, he earned that a rematch, and I was just like, he needs like a couple more wins. That's a really dangerous rematch, because I know that he became really nuts because he has a granite chin, because he has a legend striking, crazy knockout power, and they're telling me they have nasty Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. All of this in 26-year-old. I mean, that dude is a future champ. I mean, he's really good, because it's really crazy how skilled MMA prospects are right now, because he got only find the submission he debuted. I mean, that was like really insane, because they never see Salke before, and they was very impressed. I mean, let's start with a near for the top 15 nets, which is gonna be a lightweight. I mean, give it something like very important, because I know that the lightweight division is gonna be off the chain, because they have so many great prospects, but also they have veterans.
Yeah, the lightweight division's fully stacked, and I love seeing prodigies like Quinton kind of work his way up the ladder. Watched him fight a couple times now. He's damn near chalked if you're betting on DraftKings. He gets it done. He always pays off his salary. And against a guy like Jamie Mullarkey, he should have came in here and busted up this old head. Nothing against Jamie, but you're damn near a punching bag at this point in your career. I would highly think about retiring. Moving over to Quinlan, it's just fun to see. It's fun to see a prospect come in and do what he's supposed to do. Like the next fight, we talk about Ty. Ty's another old head, went on a 5-winning streak, absolutely top of the world. Nobody want to step in the cage with the guy. Then he goes on a 5-losing streak, and he takes a couple of years off. But it was a couple of years off of training, or was it a couple of years off of not training? Looks like it was a couple of years off of not training. 5 months ago, this guy was fat, over 300 pounds. Then he decided to make some money and come into the cage. Tai Tuivasa is already 1 foot out. Might as well just retire. I don't like to see old heads come back and not put on. But honestly, not trying to be mean, it was a fun fight. It was a heavyweight fight. It was sometimes it was boring. Sometimes it was like, if you don't get that knockout early, it's just gonna drag, and it was drag. But it's fun to see only heavyweights can get fucking tired, look at each other, hands on the hips, and just kind of laugh, and just kind of continue fighting. That's what we get at heavyweight. And with Teixeira, I mean, like the guy, he had that bad loss that really he shouldn't have lost, but he lost. That was funny loss. When he literally got like hammer fished to the side, trying to I think it was Derek Lewis that did him dirty like that. But that guy's BJJ is top, and he is gonna be probably in the heavyweight division for a long time. I like to see these young prospects do what they're supposed to do. He should have had Ty out of there, but it just shows Ty's toughness, and that's what we like to see as well. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Well, between for the fight between Tai Tuivasa versus Talison Tetseda, because for this moment, I'm not gonna criticize about for like anything at all, but the heavyweight division deserves to be anything better because both fighters like Telson Tetseda and Tai Tuivasa, they're a lack of cardio because I understand that Tuivasa had now lost 6 in a row. His last win was like nearly 4 years ago. I mean, those those fighters are not like the top in the world because that was just like it was just it was just like a negative fight IQ because they just wanted to like Ty could have wanted his fight with like 2 more punches in the third and choose like to hike the Zeta because he was really exhausted. But that Zeta was way too hittable. His defense right now is not the greatest one because he has a time that is going to get it knocked out before improving significant because the walls that are being like a paper division would have forced you to actually good fighters. So that's why, because between for the like heavyweight division, they deserves to get like anything better because Taito Tuivasa, he looks very terrible. Just like Jorge Masvidal, he took a free piece combo around number 2, then a few with number 3 because I was like really surprised. It was just like a frustrating. After we saw Walter Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis, now we see another disappointment and frustrated, which is Taliesin Tetseda versus Tai Tuivasa. So this is one of those reasons that the heavyweight division, they got really worse and they need to get better before it's too late.
I absolutely love it. Moving on to that lightweight fight between Fahiz and Woofy. You know, Raphael was game. Was game until he wasn't, right? I had him winning that fight. Woofy wasn't really throwing that much in the first round. The second round came and he you knew he kind of took that first round off to kind of gauge his distance, gauge his timing, and when he landed, he landed. Um, wow, I was not expecting that. I had Raphael in that fight, but moving and training with the champ, sometimes the change of scenery can help. And
Yep.
it certainly did. He shows that he still has that knockout power. I knew that was never gonna go away, but sometimes when you come off of a loss, it can change you. And it looked like he was composed in there, and he goes in there and he knocks out a game opponent like Raphael. Fun to see, really fun to see. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Well, between for Rafael Fieser versus Mauricio Ruffi, that was just like they just wanted to keep on the back because that was like pretty much he was wanted against like Benoit and Denise. Because I understand that some of those fighters have horrible style, but Mauricio Ruffi needs to do something about backing it up all the time because he was just pissed it up against Benoit and Denise on the feet but they may worry about it. I mean, Rafael Fiese should have his lens go. I mean, that was like trading pot spots with a power puncher, just like playing with fire. I mean, he seems like he was struggling. The Mauricio Ruffi is fat as hell. And Fiese seems like he's getting slower, which fair enough that they gave him like an injury history because that was just like great striking. I mean, Ruffy has some nice punching mechanics because he gets really ounce with the speed and power that he can draw out of those hands. But no one's going to strike with that dude, which is I thought because Rafael Fiese was going to be like an exciting striker, it's a good fighter, but he's not going to fight for that title. And Mauricio Ruffy has crazy accuracy. I thought it was like going off it against for that chin, but didn't understand Rafael Fierce game plan. There was so much pressure standing for the front, the longer fighting, doing like nothing, the kicking and fighting. But Ruffy hits like a fucking truck. I mean, I know Fierce is good, that's really good, but he needs to get improved. And Ruffy destroyed him. That was like a very impressive comeback victory but that really hurts. I mean, that was just like how good enough is gonna be his striking because if I believe that Rafael Fiese believe in his wrestling and grappling as much, he could have it done with something like 8 minutes. The back of Rafi for the fans at that will.
Well said. getting into that Dan Hooker versus Senwad Saint Denis. I mean, like, I wish Dan Hooker. At the end of the day, I can't be bitter because that was a nice fight from Saint Denis. Damn, was that fun to watch? Obviously, Herb Dean, stop the fight sooner, bro. Stop the fight sooner. Dan was
Mhm,
so hurt, taking unnecessary shots. He probably took like 15 shots that this fight should have been
mhm.
over, and he took 15 unnecessary shots. So I didn't like the stoppage. I think the stoppage should have been early. But I'm gonna start, but this fight, I looked at that and I'm like, bro, this guy should be right up there with your Donald Simone's of the world, right up there with your Dustin Poiriers of the world. He's been fighting since 2014, and his resume speaks, dude. The strength of schedule is real when it comes to Dan Hooker, and this is a great win from Special Forces Benoit Saint Denis. Man, went out there, crushed a veteran of the sport in the fashion that he did. The lightweight division, he should be damn near moving his way up the ladder. I know he fell short against certain fighters, but this when you have performances like that, then you fight for a belt, and there seems to be two belts in this division. So maybe you're not gonna fight for the
Yeah,
regular belt, but you can go fight for the BMF belt. You know what I'm saying? You just might have to get in line because
yeah,
I think
exactly.
Michael Chandler called out Max Holloway next. But Michael Chandler, you need to get in line because Saint Denis is here, man. He damn near showed it. What's your thoughts on this fight?
Well, between for Benoit Saint Denis, the God of War, versus Dan the Hangman Hooker, I mean, you don't think that Benoit Saint Denis has enough technically to be a champ? Because if he's strong enough to stop the takedowns, they could have blasted him. He turns and he shares right now. Because at first, I just see Benoit Saint Denis look very sloppy at the round number one. Probably for toe kicks where they got really great. But honestly, I mean, between for like he was better on the feet, but he just like great enough. I understand that Dan Hooker last loss was against Arman Tayushkin, which is first submission. But when Austin Dennis has always looked slowed and it was just like a Patty S kind of strangling, but that pressure and just blasting kicks had really helped him. And they always had the better eye to strangling just really slow as Benoit Saint-Denis, but that was like at a good stoppage. But they can really help like at a 20 seconds away for witness like at an all-time moment. But he beat Gamrod using successful takedown defense and punish him with the stand-up. He had some success for the first round. It was like very too close at all. Because imagine all the most damage that a name had to do like in somebody, because he was trying to keep like the judo flip, immediately landed. That was like loud and vicious. And when Dan Hooker was done, it was like it over. It was just like chilling like at a loose arm triangle. But we've been seeing like at a deja vu, because it's almost there like at a correlation how then I mean like at the time that about moving, how are they gonna do it? Because I don't think that he was decided to fight to lose. I mean, there's a kind of keep it on the toes, but that was just like at the class at the one, because I would love to see Armand Tashuskan versus Van It's because Armand needs to like at a fight, but it looks like they'll be overlooked for the title that I fight. But I think that he can turn around very quick in like 2, 3 months. And the monks you're gonna take the fight if they wanted to offer, which is kind of the matchup between for the style. They need to have the recover that is sure you could get like a title shot. But I never see like a really roughed out anyone. Anyone.
Yeah, I honestly think rankings should matter too. Like, I don't like
Mhm.
this popularity contest and showboating, and that should come secondary, man.
Yeah,
Fighting, the sport is fighting. It's not the best mic talker, the best win over the crowd. The best. It's not the name, image, and likeness championships. It's the fighting championship, and I just honestly feel message to Dana fucking White. Hey, Uncle Dana, you're not watching, but hey, can we make it about fighting matchmakers? Can we make it about fighting again? Because I kind of feel like people jump the line not by 1 or 2 spots, jump the
exactly.
line by 8 spots. Speaking of the fucking main event, I mean, like, how we gonna jump the line again and it's the same fucking fight? It's the same fucking fight. Like, it was the same fucking fight, man. Shout out to Diego Lopez. Certainly came in there with a young lion as he is, but that's what happens when you meet a lion that's owning his fucking turf. for the longest. All right, it's like a young baby lion trying to fight a fucking lion that's been controlled in the land. And guess what happens again? The OG wins. Get the fuck out of the hood. The lion wins. You know what I'm saying? It's absurd how there's so much skill in this division, like a Leon Murphy, like a Morzor. The guy really that should be fighting for the title is Morzor. Gonna be injuries happen and shit like that. And I love how Volkanovski comes on the mic and says, calls the young bucks that should have got the title shut out. Nothing against Diego, by the way, but it was the same fight. So I really didn't need to break down this fight because if you go watch the first fight, it's the same fight. And I get so fed up and there's so much competition, and this is the best of the best in the world. And then you get a recycle fight. Me, speaking of which, Morzor versus Diego. Morzor's 1-0. And Diego fought. So the guy he beat fought for the title twice before he even fought for the title. How does that make sense? I don't know. And then you have Leon Murphy, an experienced MMA fighter. He hasn't really been in the UFC for that long, so the casuals may not know his name. But people who've been on the scene and seen this kid's rise knew this kid was going to be fighting for a championship one day, undefeated, mind you. And the UFC might fuck it up again if they didn't. They might put them two against each other for a contender spot. Like, how does that fucking make sense? It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. They should have, one of them should have fought for the title. If Alex wins, Alex already is the best of all time in the featherweight division, but adds to his resume. If an undefeated fighter wins, then you get two undefeateds for a championship fight. Boom. Mind blown. Wow, I'm not even getting paid to matchmake, but that's how I would have done it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that fight. I didn't need to break it down because we've seen it already, but you break it down. You be the good host, but I just use my time to go on a rant.
Ooh, yes. And I just wanted to talk about between Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. And I'm going to tell you, for all those persons who are watching this right now, if Marat Demashvili is the GOAT of the bantamweight, then Alexander Volkanovski is the king of featherweight, because that was a fucking masterclass performance. He's truly the great. I mean, he fight the most dangerous young contenders as a champion he's supposed to do, and he still wins defensively. Because if you saw between Diego Lopez win the shit out against John Silva, he was like, okay, that was like a great fight, but he learned nothing here stand-up wise, because that was his best chance, was pure aggression, because he was like, miss a body, head strikes, miss it all like the clinch and grappling, even your takedown, because Volkanovski was checking a lot of his kicks, and Diego was losing inside of that. And I understand there is a lot of people who definitely bet on Diego Lopez, but Diego Lopez didn't know that Alexander Volkanovski was coming in hot. Because I know it's very frustrating, but this is like one of those fights that no one expected about the race right now, because they're like the flashy knockout. Because Lopez has nothing for Volkanovski on the feet, because Lopez had did more damage, or the first fight was like more competitive because he put his health on the line. Because Volk is a striking wizard. How a short man managed to control distance as much as him, because they don't know anybody else in combat sports. Usually those short guys, they have good other attributes like power, speed, as well as the height, the reach, the manage, not pure technical ability and distance management like that. But Diego Chin is like bonkers. And he ate so many clean shots from Volk and Nasiba on face. But that was like a great masterclass performance. That was very vintage. And he's 37 years old, because he just wanted him to retire, win or lose or get into this fight. But he's clearly got a couple of fights left in him. I want to see like between Alexander Volkanovski versus Laurent Murphy or John Silva and Escofoli for that title. But that was like a very interesting move at the last minute. He learned something, because after a close second fight, they wanted to see like how really dominated. And Diego's still closer to a title shot that Musawa after tonight. But I'm kind of like very curious because he's just become like very undeniable. They all get a shot eventually, but they will hold up to the private as much as they can to hold to lose the actual champs. But being a 37 years old champ in the lower weight divisions, it's just like an anomaly. And Volkanovski just keeping it going till he can't anything anymore because that was like very crazy how the first fight Lopez still doesn't know how to catch the cage. It was very frustrating to watch, but it's like the stand switches and follow Volker around, and that was like Lopez corner yapping around, hands up, chin down, push forward, and he didn't work at all because probably we've been seeing like it of my months ago. We should have had more opportunities for the other contenders, but Diego Lopez needs to change all the gyms. All the coach, Grasso fighters had the same problem. They are struggling by cutting off the cage, just like Aldana last fight. No improvement for Lopez and Enrico for the first fight. That was like a very disappointment. But they need to change those gyms, and of course, they need to get involved, not getting called out for that cage right now because Volk is pure class. Doesn't want to call out for a money fight. Calls out who knows his nest. Laurent the most ball. He wanted off it after the last fight, but they have something really to take care of by this. Because I know that it was very painful to watch Diego like frustrated like a technician, but he's just like, I know he's very close enough, but he's still like at the very sharp where he needs to get improved. Hopefully, it's going to be like at a really active, but never thought it's going to happen like at a couple minutes between grappling and striking. But Ellis is very too smart to get in the firefight with Lopez. And Volk is going to be like the most excited, but Lopez, he got fucked up. He fought extremely too many once again. He wants to fight aggressive against everyone, but Volk, he ate it all for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, and Diego did broke both of his legs in that fight too. So shout outs to Diego for putting on a show. The sports about entertainment, and he damn did entertain. So as much as I was like, damn, this is the same fight, he went out there and he entertained. That was a fun night of recapping fights, guys, and I promise we'll be probably more active more as the UFC fight year goes on. New on Paramount Plus, no more pay-per-view. I'll pass it over to Raphael to end the show.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, thank you guys for joining at this episode of the Combat Club because I know that between in March and of course with the rest of the February, they have great fights coming out there because for the next 2 weeks, we had to do like a very good fight between Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Sean Strickland in Houston, Texas. So we're gonna have to recap, and of course, also H Towns. Shout out to one of my brothers, Ace Dogs, because he represents the Houston, the H Town right here in Texas. So I just wanted to tell you, thank you guys for joining at another episode of The Comic Club. Also checking with the good comment right now. Murphy's spinning elbow was better than Lopez striking elbow. 8 win streaks versus 1 streak. How did they get it a shot? I don't know, but who knows? It's gonna be like something else. All right, so thank you guys. Make sure to subscribe to Capitán Rafucho and my co-host Zion Zenith on YouTube, Kick, Instagram, and of course, I just wanted to tell you, God bless you all. And of course, this is like a combat club because in this club, we were born to fight anytime, anywhere, anyone. If you're soft, this ain't your lane. If you love extreme violence, blood, sweating, tears with rules, strategy, discipline, and respect, welcome home. Step up to the cage, grab your gloves, and enjoy the war because this is the Combat Club. And right now, we're getting out of here. So thank you very much. I hope to see you there on the next episode.